Welcome to EntreProgrammers Podcast, the podcast for developreneurs, the podcast where you get to be a fly on the wall listening to real conversations of three developers trying to tackle the challenges they face as entrepreneurs.
All right, we're live.
Awesome.
Yay.
So I got kind of a little bit of a shock today. So I flipped over to my email inbox and I saw an email that with this byline of Josh Earl, and it said GDPR is bullshit. And I was like, wait, what? And then I was like, oh yeah, okay, it's the newsletter.
My video was in it.
Yeah, your video was in the newsletter. So I did, because I've gotten requests from people to write some emails about it, which I have not done and probably won't do. But so seeing that, like, I'd already written about it without remembering was extremely confusing. Oh, so we got a reply to it, and somebody said, here, I'll read it.
They want their information.
Yeah, they said.
Did you give them a big middle finger picture?
Well, not yet. So it said, "Hi Josh, can you please send me information about all the data you have on me, what you use it for, besides email for spamming with your promo material, and how, as well as where my data is stored." This guy is apparently he's a resident of Bogota, Colombia. So I come up with a few possible responses to him. One of them is, would you like me to send your bank records too? Sure, send me a scan of your passport and I'll get that right over to you. Or I've just exercised your right to be forgotten. So
I think I would just reply with no. No thanks. You're gonna you'll get a lot of unsubscribes from that one.
You want to get unsubscribed, not report spam. So
yeah, that's true. Yeah.
He's actually already unsubscribed. So
okay.
Yeah. So I don't think
that's freaking funny.
It's probably just best to ignore him. This way, it's not on the records. This way, because if you don't ignore him, right, and you reply to him and you're like, no, I'm not going to give you the data. Then he can like file a complaint and say, oh, they didn't comply. But if you're like, oh, I don't know what the fuck this guy's talking about, then
there's hardly any data we have on these guys.
Huh? It doesn't matter.
Yeah, their name, email addresses, and some clicks and interest. That's it, or maybe some location.
Yeah, the thing is that unless he's an actual EU citizen, which if he's living in Bogota, he probably isn't.
Yes.
He doesn't actually have any of those rights.
Right.
And also we don't have to. We're not in Europe either. So
yeah. But what I'm saying is so send me a copy of your passport's a valid.
I mean, what are we gonna do? Like, is it gonna be like I don't know. Let's say that Turkmenistan decides that now they're gonna make some kind of regulation that says all companies must pay $500 a year to be a valid company, right? Are we gonna start paying $500 a year? Like, what kind of extortion are we gonna bow down to? Just because the European Union says we have to do some shit doesn't mean we have to do some shit. So.
Yeah, well, the other thing is you could also just tell them, look, in the interest of protecting your data, you need to verify your identity. I mean, good freaking luck, right?
Yeah, apparently you're also allowed to charge a reasonable fee for access to the data.
Yeah.
So
how much work is that going to be?
$997.
Yeah. We'll also give you a free copy of JavaScript Launchpad. So
there you go.
And your Mastermind, $997, man.
Yes. So, yes. So
how did that go, by the way? The whole.
Hang on. I want to turn off my space here. So I did. So this week, my goal was to hit 25 subscribers by Wednesday. So because I just by emailing a few people before this week, I had gotten it up to, I think it was around 14. So what I did was I just started emailing successively larger groups of people. So I started with just people that had signed up for the waiting list, which was about 30 people. Then I emailed, expanded that out, and also emailed the top 0.4% of our list in terms of activity. So I mean, with Drip, you get like, I have it set up so you get like a point to 3 points for every time you open or click an email. Some of these guys had 1,500 or 1,700 points. So they were like, it was like about 300 people that were super active.
Yeah.
And I was able to sell out the rest of the slots in like a day. So I'm up to 27 paying subscribers. One guy actually paid the full price. It was $49 was the full price, and the coupon expired. Like he hit the 25 limit, and he would have been number 26, so it was inactive, and he paid full price anyway.
Yeah.
So so that went well. The group is starting. We're starting to get to critical mass with it now, where they're interacting with, like, two guys realized that they both live in Chicago and they're going to meet up for beers. Like, it's like kind of exciting to start to see the connections happening, and people are, I'm not like, initially I have to kind of prompt all the interaction, and now people are starting to interact and ask questions of each other. And so I think I need to get it to at least 100 before it's really going to take off. Because it's been kind of quiet today, but once I get it to about 100, I think we'll be.
Is it a Facebook community you created?
No, currently it's in Slack, but we have a Facebook community, but Facebook absolutely sucks for discussion because it's basically like a slow form chat. It's not really any different from Slack because replies get hidden. Like they truncate they truncate the post. It's awful, especially as an admin who wants to be involved and try to join in all the different discussions. Facebook is a nightmare.
Josh, I don't think you're being fair to Slack, because you can actually search Slack and find what you're looking for in the conversation. That doesn't work.
I agree. So Slack is a step up, but it gets very unmanageable once you get past like 25 people or so. So I'm going to be moving to a traditional forum platform. And the challenge with that is that you have to be able to get people to come back and interact. And it's with Facebook, it's great because they're already there. Mm-hmm. But I think that I'll be able to do this with email because the software will email people. If you post a thread and then you leave, and then somebody replies to your thread, you'll get an email about the reply. Email will help. I'm going to use email strategically to keep pulling people back in until we get to like several hundred members, and then it should be fine.
Is it Discourse that you're going to use for it?
No, I don't think so. I've looked at Discourse, and there are a couple of things I really like about it, but it's not very good for what I want this to become over the long term is like a knowledge base. And Discourse is better for is a little bit more geared towards like running discussions. Yeah. And it's better for like a help desk type of scenario versus this. John, I'm actually using the same software that they use in the Millionaire Fastlane forum.
Oh, okay, yeah.
So so it's worked really well. It's like the most popular. It's called Zenforo, and it's the most popular. It's one of the most popular paid forum softwares out there, and it's really there's a ton of plugins for it. This is what Carl had recommended. And I've since realized like a lot of the communities that I'm familiar with use this platform. So what I'm going to do is, especially initially, is I'm going to use Drip broadcast emails to keep pulling people back into discussion. So like if there's a thread that's really hot one week, I'll write an email about it and link to it. And then people will, members who haven't been back for a while will jump in on the discussion at that point. So, so it's it'll be interesting. I'm nervous about going away from Slack because Slack is something that a lot of people are already using for work. So it's sort of almost as good as Facebook in that way because like probably half the people that joined already use Slack for work.
You can keep both of them alive.
Yeah, well, I think that I might eventually do with Slack is make it part of an upper tier. So. I was talking to Jason yesterday about this, and we're thinking about I want to get this initial tier of like $49 a month solidified. Then we're thinking about having another tier on top of that where people have more of a small group mastermind, kind of like this. And so for that, I think for that I would probably do Slack. So it would be lower volume, because if we get to 500, like Jason, he's a mentor with Thinkful, and they have like they have a couple thousand people, all their former students in their Slack thing, and he says it's a nightmare, and he just never go in there because it's so unmanageable. So that's what I want to avoid. But yeah, so far so good.
Are you gonna do any calls with them?
We're thinking about doing maybe like with this upper tier. So for the lower tier, it would be the way I'm thinking about this is probably the first tier will be all DIY. So we're gonna have like a resource library. The community, you'll have access to that, and then we'll do group like training calls and webinars and that sort of thing. The next tier, like if you want any kind of personal hands-on help, that's where the next tier would come in, and that would probably be like $1,000 a year at least. And we might do like one call a month or something as part of that with just a smaller group. So we'll definitely have to. We're discussing ways that we can keep that from getting out of hand and make sure that we can scale it and everything. But right now, the focus is on the bottom tier of the service, because that's where most people are going to end up. And what I'm modeling it after is there's this community called Copy Chief that it's the best example of a paid community that I've ever seen. And it's a copywriting forum, and he charges you, it's like $9.99 for the year, and he's built out a big library of courses and stuff, but they're all included in the membership. So they're more like a bonus. Really, the draw is the community, and then the training and stuff that he's built up over time is more like a bonus as an incentive to get people in. So I'm thinking that we'll probably end up with is like a $4.99 annual membership to this, and you'll get the community, and you'll get kind of a certain set of courses that we'll create or training materials, and then kind of go from there. So it'll be interesting. I'm not sure. I'm curious where I'm going to start hitting price resistance, because I did this $19.99 off, or the $19 offer for the first group, and one of the guys missed out. He emailed me back, and I was like, well, this is sold out, but I'm doing a $29 offer next. And he's like, that's too much. And he's like, I'll wait for it to come around again. I'm like, well, it's not coming around again. Sorry, bud. So that was a one-time only deal.
Well, yeah, I think you should price it higher.
I'm going to. So it's going to go. I'm doing first 25 at 19, second 25 at 29, and then I'm going up to 49.
Offer them a discount if they pay up for the whole year, so that way you can get some yearly subscriptions.
Yeah, I don't want to put myself on the hook for that yet. This is still an experiment, so I want to be sure. Like I told Jason this too. Like the one thing that I want to make sure is not going to happen. I do not want this to get to $4,000 a month and then hit a brick wall. And because so far everyone that has signed up, and most of the people that have joined the waiting list have been on the list for a long time. So I'm concerned that for some reason, like we've seen the sales go down recently, I'm concerned that the new people coming in for whatever reason aren't going to go for this, and then I won't be able to grow it, right? If for some reason. So I need to prove that the new people coming in are going to join it as well, and then I'll be good. And then I definitely want to go. So what I'll do is just offer people the chance to upgrade later.
Yeah.
Because the annual is definitely the way to go, because most people, like, the lifetime value is probably going to be somewhere between 3 and 6 months on this. If I'm like 3 months is pretty typical. If you do really well, it might be 6 or 9 months. So if you can get 10 months worth of revenue up front, then you're coming out ahead.
Yeah.
This sounds really interesting, just for some of the stuff that I'm looking at too. Because I'm thinking, But for me, like with finding a job and some of the basic coding skills that I want to put forward, I'm wondering if there'd be a little bit of rotation in and out. I don't know if I'd get people long term.
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
But the flip side is that I've also been thinking about pulling together like a lead developer community and saying, hey, we're going to talk about leadership and project management and team building skills and things like that for lead devs and CTOs that focuses on leading technical organizations and giving them the skills to handle that, because a lot of these folks, they get promoted out of the technical ranks and nobody ever explains to them, hey, this is how you actually build or run a team or things like that.
Right. Yep.
And I think I could get some longer term pull that way.
Yeah,
I'd love to see how this comes together for you and just see if I can do something similar.
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely most people, I think, just throw a forum out there and just kind of like see what happens. And you can't do that. Like with Copy Chief, what this guy did was he actually hired some people. I don't know, he probably pays them $5 or $10 an hour, but they go and they like interact with people on the forum. So like when somebody new comes in, 2 or 3 people are interacting with them immediately. So it's not like a ghost town, which is what most of these end up being. So yeah, it definitely is going to take, I think for the next 6 months, this is going to be basically my full focus, and just I'll probably spend an hour or 2 a day just interacting with the group to make sure that keep the momentum going. So, because if people aren't getting any value out of it, then they're going to drop. So.
No, that makes a ton of sense. I'm curious how you're going to structure. So you're talking about having training material in there too.
Yeah.
So what does that look like? Is it just, a topic under the forum or something, or?
No, it'll probably be, if I copy what this guy's doing, which I'm probably going to do, he's got like a library page with just all the different courses that he's created. And there's I know for sure we need a LinkedIn training. We need a GitHub training. We need a course on how to choose and execute a side project. Like some stuff on resumes. So I can work with, the nice thing is I think I can bring in people that are doing this, and it'll be like lead gen for them. They'll help me, we'll do like maybe a 2-hour webinar or 3-hour, maybe 2-hour webinars or something. And we'll have like a couple hours worth of content, and it should be pretty low effort, I think, to create stuff.
And if you tape the content, if you record it, then it'll be like a catalog, right? That
exactly.
Like, as you gain access, you gain access to all the
exactly. Yeah. So I was thinking, another thing I was thinking about doing was, I did a video the other day of somebody sent me. What was it? Shoot, I can't remember. But I was thinking about Jason. One of his things that he's really good at is mock interviews. So we could do some mock interviews where people volunteer. We interview them for free. They get a free interview with the condition that we record it and we get to share it. So you can it's almost like a hot seat then, and you can listen in. That is, for me, I've always learned so much from that type of thing where you're listening to somebody else go through, that type of situation, work through the problems and everything. So it's more, you're not on the spot. You can kind of disassociate and learn better. So that's one thing. I recorded a video. Oh yeah, that's what it was. I got an email from somebody who I thought he did a great job. He's I think he listens to the show actually, but he's basically doing the influencer cultivation with me, where he's got me in a CRM and he gets a reminder every 2 months or so, and he emails me with something about developers and marketing developers. And he sent me 2 emails, and they were both really good, really useful. And then after I got the second one, I was like, wait a second. And then I called him out on it. I was like, hey, I know exactly what you're doing, and this is really good. This is the best example of reaching out to someone and giving value, just to kind of stay on their radar. Yeah. So I did a video where I talked through that, and it was like a 12-minute video. And I'm going to, that's the type of thing. I shared that with the group, so that can go in the library, and we can start to build up a library of that kind of stuff.
What John Lee Duma did was pretty interesting, and I kind of like that model as well. What he did was he said, think it was $200 a month, right? Entrepreneurship Mastermind. He used to call it Fire Nation Elites. And he would literally, the only way to get on it was to have a call with him. You had to schedule a call,
Okay.
have a call with him where he would literally just say, hey, you better contribute to the community, otherwise you're out. So you're like, what the fuck, what is this? And then he made you sign up for 3 months at a time.
Okay.
You cannot sign up for anything less than that, but it was $200 a month. You sign up for 3 months, that's like $600. He gives you a discount like $500, and that's an ongoing commitment at $500. And that's a pretty good price point, and he's able to get that price point because of the call, because of the qualification process. And all it was at the end was a Facebook community.
Nice.
That's not a bad idea. I mean, there's a couple of psychological tricks in there. I mean, one of them, obviously, like the commitment already, like, because you've talked to them, and then two, the fact that they've already put in 3 months, right? They've already, if you've got them, if you can convince them to contribute for 3 months and they've paid this money, then they're going to want to, like, they're going to feel like it's valuable, and they have to keep on doing it because they've already invested so much into it.
Yep.
So consistency.
Yeah, because you've gotten them to invest money and time now at this point. So that makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
Yeah, but the price point is pretty good.
Yep. For ours, what I'm planning is that I'm only going to open it up for enrollment 2 days a month. So you'll be so all month I'm going to be marketing it, getting people on a wait list, and then I will open it up for 2 days. And
what would be?
If you want, I can get on the phone with people one day a month and be like, "You're a fat fucking idiot. You need to. You're lazy fucking bastard." I'll just berate people like.
Let me ask you this: what's your goal? Like, how much would be a good revenue number from this?
So I want it to at least surpass what we were doing in product revenue. So I'm thinking 20 to 30K is what I'm targeting. Yeah.
So you need around 1,000 people at this price point.
Yes. Yep. Well, yeah, probably 1,000 people, or 500. 500 people at this price point, or 450 at this price point, or maybe 400 at this price point, and like 50 at the next tier. But yeah, I mean that's what I'm shooting for. So I just have to figure out where the price needs to be. And so far $19 is good. So I'm going to try for $29. And this way too, it'll be nice because I can go when I go out to the list with the $49 price, I'm going to be like, hey, look, these two, I sold out these other two. Last 2 times I opened this up, I sold out in like a day. So it adds this. But yeah, like really what I'm trying to engineer here is just scarcity, because the biggest problem with selling memberships is the lack of scarcity. So,
yeah. So that's why the call is pretty crucial. If John can get on the call and scream at people.
Yep.
Yeah, the manual onboarding might not be a bad idea. Is to have calls with people and just like.
And it was just a freaking 15-minute call. No, 10-minute call.
Yeah.
Right now I'm doing. I'm actually doing a lot of the steps manually right now to get a better read on where people are. So they have to reply. Like when I send the emails to them to join, they actually have to reply to me. I don't send out the link. Yeah. The only way for them to get the link is to reply to me and let me know if they have any questions or anything. I'm also keeping a very close eye on. I get emails whenever somebody signs up for the wait list, and I'm kind of watching to see, okay, what are the characteristics of what these people have in common. John, actually, almost everybody that signed up for this first round was in the book launch team, which is interesting. Not surprising.
So the way that John Lee Duma built urgency was he constantly emphasized one thing: the price will go up the next time I open it again.
Right.
So if you want to get in, right now is the time. I'll keep raising the price. So price plus a call kind of did the trick there.
Yep.
Raising prices all the time. I should do something like this after my launch. Probably urgency is exactly as we were saying. Urgency is what sells everything. So this is where, again, urgency is what will sell.
Yeah,
this as
I think especially with our audience, like,
are you grandfathering in? Did you tell them your grandfather into this price, no matter what price goes to?
Yep, they keep it for life. That was the other reason I did it, was I was hoping to get like a core of like 25 to 50 people who are just going to want to hang on as long as possible.
Yeah.
And won't be like, bailing as quickly. So that was a little extra incentive.
Nice.
But yeah, this is really just the beginning though. I mean, I don't know where the price is. I'd love to raise it to $100 if I can sell it. I just need to figure it. And like, I think it'll get easier. He did this, the copy chief guy did this too, where he started it off. I think when I joined it at one point, I think it was $49 a month, and he went up to, now it's like $100 a month basically. And it just over time, you need to have a certain critical mass and have some content in place and have enough members to where people aren't going to just join and go, there's nothing here.
Right.
So,
yeah.
I don't know, man. The John Lee Dumas thing, it was pretty incredible. Like, there was none of the above, and he was charging $200 a month.
Yeah, but I think the difference there too is that
it's a different market.
Yeah, because it's an entrepreneurial market. It's like the make money market. So $200 a month is not as.
You're in the make money space too for this kind of stuff.
No, we're not.
It's more
not
like
really.
It's more like the make more money in your job. Like, there's a difference between make more money starting a business and make more money in your job. And to make more money in your job definitely is better than like get 6-pack abs. Like, people will spend more money there, but it's not as good as like.
It's also the temperament of the audience is different. So the entrepreneurial audience is going to be 80% like people that would be like more sales types, and they are hopelessly optimistic.
They're risk takers. Yeah,
and they're risk takers, and our audience is the opposite. Like, they're going to skew more. They're more skeptical, more pessimistic, more less likely to take risk. So it's a pretty different user base, but they do have money, which is nice because actually a lot of the people in the make money space don't have any money. So.
Exactly. Over there, they're overloading their credit cards with zero money.
Exactly.
Here, everyone's making 100K, probably. I don't know, at least. So they have the money to spend. If you say, "I'll show you how to make another 20K," I could spend 1K on that. So
on the whole onboarding thing, Manny, that's kind of what I was thinking with my attempt. So I sold those $250 consulting sessions a couple weeks ago, thinking, okay, if we spend like a couple of hours with them, they pay us up front, maybe we can roll them into some kind of coaching thing afterwards. And all of them said no. I mean, it was $500 is what we were asking for. It probably could have gotten $200, maybe. But they wanted direct personal attention for $100 a month.
Nice. This was a call you already did with them?
We did six 1 to 2 hour consulting sessions with people where we charged $250.
And you were the one on call?
Yeah, I did it, and Jason did some of them. Okay. And then afterwards, we were like, the people were all like, we want ongoing help. We were like, okay, well, we'll do. This is what we'll do for you. It's $500 a month. For me to even want to do what I was offering, it would actually need to be more like 1,000, or more, because it was like a call every month, accountability, like a weekly check-in, email support, that kind of thing. And they were all like, nope. Too much. So they paid for the $250 consulting call for an hour, but they wouldn't pay it on an ongoing basis. Yeah. So I mean, I think that if we hit our entire list with that, we could probably find 10 people that would be willing to do it. But it's not going to be. It's going to be like 0.0001%. Not like in the marketing world. That's just normal. I mean, I've paid like multiple people $1,000 a month for coaching.
Yeah.
And that's pretty normal, but it's not in programming. So
I'm forgetting my programming roots.
Yeah, see, I think you could sell that same thing as a system, as a program, almost like a boot camp. Like we
Yes.
talked about like a career skills boot camp where it's got a finite like graduation or time period.
Yeah.
And then
90-day boot camp to get your first job. Like that we could
Yeah.
sell for sure.
And then what you could do after that is you could have a continuation product and say, now you can continue this on for, so many dollars, so much per month. And,
Yep.
I think that would be what another thing too would be to like have some kind of thing where it basically funnels into the community, right? Because then you've got a price anchoring. So if someone's paying $500 a month for this program, and it's like a 30-minute call every month or something like that, and they do this for like 3 months or whatever, and then afterwards you say, okay, now to join the community, like to ongoing, like with the rest of the graduates, it's like $100 a month. Now it's real cheap, $100 a month, right? They're getting a big discount. So
yep. If I hit it, I want to take this as far as I can take it, just selling it as it is, and then if I hit a wall, I might go, okay, well, let's put together some kind of boot camp or something, and then use that as a front end sale, and then basically back the continuity piece into it.
Yeah.
So I'm curious to see how far I can take it without having to complicate it any further.
Yeah.
So I'm happy. So my goal for June then is to get it up to 100.
So you're just going to open it for a day and say, or 2 days and say, hey, we're opening it for a day. And
what I'm going to do is I'm going to do another round of, you can get this for a discount to get in at least 25 more people. What I might do, I'm torn between saying members 26 through 50 can get it at 29, and then everybody else pays full price. Or I might do members 50 through 100 get it for 39, and then it's going to be full price after that. So I might do 2 rounds of grandfathered discount offers before I roll it out to the whole list.
Well, you should keep doing that. Keep increasing the price. So every time you do it, you say, hey, the price will go up next time. And you added another $10 for another 20 people or so. So the urgency is always there. And at some point you hit the threshold and then you know, okay, well, this is it. Now I'm not going to raise the price because you see diminishing returns at that point.
Yeah.
That's true.
Yeah, that would show me where the ceiling is.
Yeah. I mean, freaking John Lee Duma, I keep bringing the examples because he did a lot of that in the early days, right? Podcasters Paradise. He would basically announce it every day on his podcast saying, hey, by the way, join Podcasters Paradise for $100 or $200 lifetime. I will increase the price next time I launch it again, or next time we open it again. And literally he would do that. It went from $200 to $300 to $500 to $700 to $900 to $1,000 to $1,500. It's like keeps going. Kept on doing it.
Copy Hour, he's done that too. He's up over 1,000 now.
Yeah.
When he started Podcasters Paradise, though, it was lifetime access.
Yeah.
It was one-time lifetime access, and eventually they went to monthly payments for access. Yeah. So I don't know at what point you switch, but yeah, you could also do something like that.
Yeah, I mean, it's just the fact that he was using urgency to keep on, getting people enrolled.
Yeah. I got him pretty early on that. Then I have lifetime access.
How much did you pay? I ended up paying $1,500. Fuck.
I didn't pay that much. I think I paid.
Chuck paid $7.
I think I paid a few $100s.
Yeah, you got a good deal at the time. Yeah, shit, I paid a lot, but yeah. So I think the urgency factor, the price urgency factor, is the easiest to sell on compared to anything else.
Yeah.
That it's gonna keep going up. Because you can always keep going up. You can just go from $29 to $30 at some point. You just don't know how much it's going to go up.
Well, and if they quit buying, then right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay,
but then,
I need to go back to the other price.
Yeah. Then you've told everyone you're going to raise the price. And now you're lowering it.
No, you won't lower it, though. No, you won't lower it. So you'll see where you got all the signups at 49, 59. It's still getting the good conversion. You're like, all right, at 69, it was a drop off. Then leave it at 69 for a while.
Yeah. The other thing is that, you could also just say, we'll raise it, after so many sales or something. But one other thing you could do is, once you get to a certain size, if it's a monthly fee to be a part of it, you may just be like, it's kind of big enough anyway. And so you don't raise it anymore. You just, if people will buy it at that price, then that's the marginal cost of doing, of helping them out too.
And the target is $400 at $49. The target is only $200 at $99. So the number of people you require to get to that price, that thing keeps on decreasing.
Yeah, that's true. All right, we'll have to think about that.
It's just like what we're doing with our price testing on the offer, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like 49 would have worked, 69 would have worked, but the price that worked was most sales, whatever worked.
Yeah.
Yep.
All right. So
did you do your launch, Manny?
No, I did not. Again, another week delayed. So let me send you the link. Take a look, Josh.
Okay.
And everyone, I guess. I actually showed it to John for a bit. He gave me some good feedback, so I incorporated that. But one of the questions that we had was like, okay, anyways, go ahead, start.
All right, pulling it up here.
Yeah.
I'm using an in private window so you don't collect any data on me.
Oh, I already collected all the data you don't even know about.
Don't worry about it. You have the right to be forgotten.
That's true. Yeah. That's true. All right. All right.
This is a lot better than the last one we saw.
Yes, it is.
Yeah, why do you say that?
Just because immediately it's hey, look, this is what you're going to get, and it's the benefits.
Yeah. Last one was learn to meditate in 4 weeks, and this one is like exact top line benefits.
Yep. Yeah, I like the headline on this is a zillion times better. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
I do think you need the hot yoga chick meditating though, right on the front there.
I'm gonna lose all my clients.
It has to be discreet. It has to be like you know what I'm talking about.
It has to be subliminal. It has to be flashing hot yoga chick.
I am okay. So the biggest thing I just can't get past is the formatting. The formatting is makes it very hard to read. And then the multi-column thing, especially the little black quotes.
Okay.
Make it like the little bubbles make it very hard to read.
What would I do instead to kind of put that information there? If I just put it in one line, nobody's gonna read that shit anyways.
Well, I mean, it might be. Well, okay. So nobody's definitely no one's going to read it if it's 3 across in a grid like this.
Okay.
So you're basically, if you're worried no one's going to read it, then you're basically wasting space. I mean, what you could do, you could definitely do this as like part of the copy, just in straight text. You know what I mean? Like, maybe you do that further down.
Okay.
I mean, the way that you've got the actual sales copy formatted is pretty good. I would shrink it down a little bit, make it a little narrower, so it's a little bit easier to read. But the size is good. The formatting is pretty good. What you could look at is what's his name? Andre Chaperone.
Mm-hmm.
He has some real like direct, as far as direct response pages go. His are pretty nice.
Okay.
So you can look at those, but really you want the formatting to be biased for readability. So anything that makes it harder to read is a negative. So extreme contrast, like the black on white, or the white on black rather, is usually not good. White on black text is scientifically proven to be harder to read. They've done like comparative studies of that.
What if I just put it in white and black, just put boxes instead of text instead of
so
just
with
the regular
the quote,
color.
the quotes?
The color is regular, but the boxes have an outline and they're still black text on white. Or maybe I pick out some pictures from books.
I think
question.
So the problem is that like you want to get people reading as quickly as possible. So the headline is really designed to just get them in and get them to start reading. And then you want to keep them reading. And with this, you've got like 3 screens or 4 screens before you get to anything that's not like a little tiny tidbit of text.
So John was asking, like John was also wondering about this. Like, should I move my story all the way up top right after the headline?
Yes. What you could do would be to do like you could have. I'm thinking about this here. So I wouldn't like. I guess this is going to be your list. Normally, I wouldn't be talking about the workshop above the fold like this. But since it is going to your list, so they
already know it's coming.
They already know it's coming, so it's not as big of a deal. But I mean, what you could do would be to just go take this, like, get these scientifically proven benefits of meditation, and then just start like list a few bullet points underneath that, and then go right into your story. And I would get rid of the formatting and make it just look like part of the either like a subheadline or part of the top of the body copy.
So remove the black, complete the black background completely. Just go with white and black all the way.
Yeah.
White, black, and green, and whatever. Yep. Okay.
Yes. Usually what I recommend with this is start with the simple version of it, and if you're going to do something, if you're going to add anything design element to it, do that after you've already what your baseline is, because like the bland, boring white background, black text, simple single column, like that that's a pretty safe bet. And then design can help or hurt you from there. So if you don't know what the baseline is with the simple version, then you just start adding random design elements to it. Then it's a crapshoot.
Okay, so in terms of the sections, the headline, the subheadline, and then get these scientifically proven benefits, and then move to my story, rather than talk about everything else, rather than talk about the scientific research.
Yeah, I think bringing that in at the end or towards the middle, where you're like, look, I got all these benefits, but it's not just me, like this, other people, here's all the authority figures that have talked about this too. Like, it's more of a proof point than it is something that you bring in right up front.
Okay.
I mean, unless the one exception to that might be if you've got a huge celebrity that you could bring in, but you're kind of doing that here with yourself. Like you are kind of like the celebrity. So, that their interest in you and what you have to say will help carry them into the copy.
Yeah, he's kind of got the reluctant hero story going on with with it, right? So.
Yep.
So what you guys are saying, and what actually kind of what I'm doing is, after the story, I go into, hey, it's not just me. After the story, you see the benefits from Harvard, or from the research studies from Harvard and UCLA and Wisconsin and all those things. Yeah. And with some pictures and explaining exactly what they said. And after that, I go into, if you keep scrolling, you'll see like into people like Ray Dalio and Oprah Winfrey and Mark Benioff and U.S. Marines and NFL teams, and all those people. I've taken them as examples of people who meditate.
Yep.
And that's basically that's all the 3 different angles that I want to hit from.
Right.
Yeah. One other thing that I was scrolling through your page. I don't know if somebody already said this or not, because I was kind of tuning in and out as I kind of browsed this. But one thing that I did see was that it feels like there's a lot of story here from you. And I would just boil that down to one example that people really identify with and just hit it hard that way. So, if it's finding a job, or leveling up, or you have stuff here about not getting kicked out of the U.S., but just nailing that down so that it's like, hey, this is one example where I got this amazing outcome, and like getting 3 job offers in less than 30 days kind of thing, right? So you can talk about how meditation helped you make that work, and that way it's not, oh, okay, there's a whole bunch here and I don't need to know Manny's whole life story, but you can just hit it hard at this is one instance where it might matter to you, and then you can give some more social proof, like with all of the famous people that do it, and then maybe tell another story later on if you want to. But yeah, I think there's a ton here on this page, and I don't know if anyone's gonna actually read through it all.
One thing, Manny, I'm scrolling through here and I realized I was thinking one thing that you might want to hit up front is, were you ever skeptical of meditation? And I get down here and it says, I was extremely resistant to meditation. That should probably go up top.
Okay. Oh yeah.
Okay. So like the reluctant hero story, you want to start it with like, you're almost starting with like the objection that they have, right? And then you're saying like, I was in the same spot that you were, and I would even make that, you potentially even make that like kind of a subheader or something like that when you start your story. Like basically, I thought meditation was complete BS, and my experiences changed my mind, and here's what happened. And so then you go into your story. See.
So to Chuck's point, which he said, like, don't use so many stories. What do you guys think is the sweet point there, or how do you like balance that out, or do you tell only 1 or 2 stories and be done with it, or do you only tell 1 or 2 things and walk away?
So the lead, so what you're doing here is you're using your story as the lead, which in sales copy that is usually up to 10%. So if you've got so I would think like for you, maybe you're like almost 9,000 words. So maybe if you think about, okay, I'm going to chop this down. I'm going to chop my part of this down to maybe, 1,000 or 1,500 words. So that focus you on one. I think focusing on one specific, whichever story you think is the most powerful, you can and you can leave out. It's a little hard to describe how to do this, but you can leave out steps, right? I mean, it happened the way it happened, but you can leave out chunks of it without compromising the lesson that you're teaching, right? So the stories are. So there's the one you've told me these before. So there's the one where you thought you were going to fail, or you felt like you failed the exam when you were in India. The hilarious story. I mean, it would have been horrible to live through it, but the ambient thing is, or the
ambient.
Valium,
That's a different story.
That's somebody else.
Roseanne Barr's story.
Never mind. So I like this. I'm just scanning the headlines here. I like that you went to this retreat. That should probably be in there.
I also have another idea here too, because each of these stories. So when I'm telling a story and I really want people to resonate with it, what I find is that I'm actually telling their story. It just happens to also be my story, right? And so if you're doing your launch and you're doing an email sequence where it's, hey, I was a little skeptical of meditation, blah blah blah. You can tell that story, and then you can sort of copy and paste the landing page and create another landing page so that the next one is once I understood that there were benefits to meditation, I struggled with it. And so then you tell that story on that landing page. And that way, if people click through, then you're telling the appropriate story in the appropriate place and doing the sales pitch that way.
So Manny, you actually need 5 sales pages.
But most of the copy is going to be the same.
See you in 2019.
But I'm just saying, because each of these stories are going to resonate with different people. So you could do a launch where it's focused on just one of these stories or one of these scenarios.
Yeah, it sounds like that would be like it's like a launch formula, project launch formula kind of deal, product launch formula, like multiple stories spaced out.
Yeah,
videos, kind of maybe a future launch but right now,
Yeah.
I can't.
Okay.
But I
Yeah.
would just, if you're gonna boil it down to the most common story or the most
Yeah.
impactful story, so that you can make the difference that way.
Yeah, I mean, I think the one about you. So I'm trying to get a gist of what the stories are here, but
So
there's
one
one
is
where
about coming to US and like changing from physics to electrical engineering and computer engineering, and undergrad in physics, and then going to electrical computer engineering and figuring that out in 2 years. So that kind of shows the pressure, the learning,
yeah,
all that stuff, and then the job offer thing, which is like 3 job offers in 30 days. So that one is like more resonating with the crowd that's dealing with all those situations. So focus and learning are really important for the crowd. Focus on productivity and learning, I guess.
Yeah. I mean, I think yes, those are the two stories I was thinking of too as I scrolled through this. I think pulling one of those out and showing how either, like, even if you were meditating at this time, like showing how it helped you deal with it. Like the one where had to get the job offers. That one could be useful because you have a control group, right? You've got all your friends who like completely fell apart in the same type of situation, and you got yourself in gear and you're able to come through it. So that's interesting from that perspective. And then the other one is really good because you were able to absorb a lot of stuff and work through a very high pressure situation and focus and everything.
Does it matter that it's so far behind? Like we're talking the year 2000, like what's so long ago?
I don't think so. Yeah, I don't think so.
Yeah, it doesn't matter.
I mean, you don't have to be real specific about the dates either if you feel like that would help. I mean, you don't like it's just it happened, right? I mean, you can tell it the way you want to tell it. So.
Okay, so tighten up the stories. You're saying go with one or maybe one or two, and bring in other things at the.
I would say one. Yeah, keep it focused. And you didn't waste this effort because you can totally use all these pieces in emails. You can use them like in a lot of different ways.
Yeah, in video communication as well.
They're almost a little bit like with a sales page. What you're really trying to do is like get your full sales pitch out, right? And then you can pull pieces of it out and rearrange them and everything. But yeah, I mean, like these are the stories are a little disconnected, so they're perfect for email.
Why do you say they're disconnected?
I mean, like, well, they're very different. Okay, so like the one about you taking your exam is like a self-contained unit. And
I see.
You know what I mean? Like it doesn't they're like it's like a series of anecdotes that they're not like causally linked necessarily.
Yeah. It's not one story that's flowing. Yeah. It's multiple events happening.
Scenes.
Yeah, scenes in a movie.
Yeah.
But fuck. Okay. So then the research part of the story, or the research studies and stuff that come after the story, I should be shrinking those down as well, or should I bring them into the story somewhere?
No, I would just go through the story. Let me see the research stuff.
Yeah, if you can tie it into the story somehow. It turns out that science says that this is what happened, right? When I meditated, and this is why it paid off. It's not just woo-woo crap. It's actually, here's the science behind why this worked for me.
Yeah.
And anything that doesn't add to that point, yank. And that way it's easy to digest and it's all part of the same narrative.
So what you guys are saying is, let's take a story and then bring in the scientific literature, or like tidbits of scientific literature during the story to explain why it was working during the story itself. Just build it up.
Or
I would do it after.
After?
Yeah. Like tell the story and then explain the story.
Yeah.
Okay, tell the story.
Your brain works this way, blah, blah, blah. This is why it worked. And then you can do a quick sales pitch, and then you can also add the social proof and say, hey, this is the same benefit that Oprah gets, kind of thing.
Right. So tell the story, get the proof from the scientific community, and then get the anecdotes or other people to back it up.
Yeah.
and then go into the sales pitch.
Yep.
One other thing I'll throw out there too. It's better to say one thing and prove it beyond all shadow of a doubt than to try to say 10 things. So a little bit of what's going on here is there's so many benefits that you're trying to get them all in.
Yeah.
And it's better, like what I would do is, stick with a core. You want to have a core set of a couple of benefits that are the most appealing that you can just hammer home throughout the whole thing. And just like, after you read this, you should have no doubts that you would get these benefits if you did this correctly, right? And then if you want to you can still bring in other points, but where you would do them would be in like the bullet section. And it's more like, you can have as many bullets as you want, and they're more like quick hits, and it's like other angles that and that's where I would tuck those other secondary benefits into that versus so you need to have like your core theme, and I think we know, I mean, like your headline is pretty, let's see here. I mean, your headline, your sales page should be dedicated to proving your headline. That's the thesis statement from 4th grade essay writing.
I like them.
Yeah.
All right. So now we've totally blown up Manny's world.
No, I got some
we delayed his launch another week or two.
But if I keep going like this, it'll be another year before we'll still be talking about this launch.
Or
here's
a different picture here.
Okay.
Maybe A/B test this. Maybe you have the landing page that's complete satire. You put the hot yoga chick at the top of it, and then and then you have more like strategically down the page so that people will scroll through the whole thing. And then instead of talking about the people that do meditate, you talk about the people who don't meditate, but you don't know for sure, so you have to say, I doubt Roseanne Barr meditates. I doubt Henry Weinstein meditates. I doubt Kanye West meditates. I doubt Bill Cosby meditates, right? And you just have those.
I think that John's page would definitely win in the time on page department. I'm not sure about the actual sales, but I think he'd have that buttoned up.
Oh my God.
So Manny, here's the challenge. Time box this.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. You're going to spend another 10 hours on this, and then you're going to ship it.
Yeah.
Okay.
Because otherwise, you're just going to iterate on this forever. Like I have been here. I know what you're wrestling with. And I mean, we can critique it.
How many words should I shrink it to?
It doesn't matter.
Doesn't matter.
No, the length really is just a function of getting in what you want to get in. Yeah. And making it interesting. I mean, if it's I've seen sales pages that were 90 pages long and people read them. So, I mean, don't worry about the length, but the focus and the clarity and the readability and the interest is what you really want to have.
Yeah.
Okay.
But
okay, cool. So I guess, yeah. All right.
The good news is I think you're not, by the way, I guess it's a little late. I was going to say, did you write this in the software? Like are you writing this in Thrive?
Yeah.
Don't do that next time because it's really hard to, Thrive's gotten better, but it's really hard to rearrange like it's compared to Google Docs. But I would say you've got the pieces here. So set yourself a time limit and a launch date and just go for it. I mean, because otherwise, I mean, we could do this every week for the next 48 weeks and we'd keep making it better, but you wouldn't make any money. So. So okay, with a sales page, the biggest things are the headline, the lead, the offer, the price, and like the bullets.
Yeah.
Those are the biggest pieces. And so, I think you've got a strong headline here. I think if you can tell your story well, and tighten it down a little bit, like and then you've already got a warm list, so.
Yeah.
Cool. Yeah, I'm planning to ship it out on Monday. So got my work cut out for me now.
Ship it good.
Yeah.
I got a couple of things I need to bring up too.
Do it.
So first of all, I just had a sponsor get back to me and say that they weren't going to renew because they weren't getting the ROI that they wanted. Okay. And I asked them for their numbers, but I'm not holding my breath. Whenever I ask for numbers, I almost never get them.
Yeah.
So like I said, not holding my breath. But anyway, I'm thinking, and I may have brought this up before, I don't remember, but something in my brain is telling me that I did, is that so I'm wanting to change my offering with sponsorships and offer more of a holistic marketing to the podcasts. Did I talk about this? Where I wanted to offer like on the list, and so what I want to do is I want to offer them essentially the spot on the podcast, plus a campaign on the email list, plus a banner on the website, and then announcements on social media, the forum, and the chat rooms, and just so that they kind of get a mention everywhere when they sponsor.
We've been there.
Yeah.
The problem we faced with that was that they're like, "Well, we just want to buy podcasts," but they're like, we don't know about all this other shit. So I don't know though. I mean, to me, it still sounds like a good idea, but
yeah, it's kind of what I would do. What I would suggest maybe would be to try it out with a few people. Don't put any work into it other than thinking about what the packages might look like.
Yeah.
And then offer it as an option. So when you are on a call with somebody, say, hey, I can give you podcast only for this price, or I can give you podcasts plus everything else for this other price. And then let them decide. And if you get 10 no's, no thank yous, then don't do anything else with it.
Yeah, if they're willing to pay more, then it's an added value. Or if they're not willing to pay more, then it's not. So
what I found was that it seemed like people were very reluctant to buy. Like they'd been burned on a bunch of different media, and they specifically liked podcasts. They specifically liked email. They were cautiously optimistic about YouTube, and everything else they were like, been there, done that. Banner ads don't work. I don't care about any of that other stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. I kind of want to be sort of the premier place to go to advertise to developers. Mm-hmm. And I'm sure a lot of other people do too. But I feel like I have to do something different in order to make that happen. And I think part of it's our content, and part of it's, how we, make our listenership available to them. But anyway, I think that's probably the direction I'm going to go. Is I'll just offer this to a few folks. But they don't get the everything package unless they sign up for at least 6 weeks. But one of the other things that I'm finding is that I have a handful of sponsors that have been around forever and will probably stay around forever. And then I have a handful of sponsors that they seem to rotate in and out.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm not quite sure what the difference is, and I can't get enough information from them to know what the difference is, because they won't give me the numbers, things like that. A lot of times they just want to pay for the podcast ad and then just have the people come in, and so I can't even get talking points for the ads out of them. I have to keep bugging them to get a banner to put on the website. And it's, and so it's a little bit frustrating because it's, hey, look, I like getting the money, but, I want it to pay off for you too.
So, all right. So I think that the way that you're thinking about this is probably not, you're thinking that this is a rational thing.
No, it's not a rational thing.
I highly doubt that it's a rational thing. So the numbers probably aren't relevant, or they're less relevant than you would like.
Right. So, until somebody makes them relevant, like their boss comes in and says, what are you spending it on, and what are we getting?
Yeah, I mean, it might be interesting to sit down and spend a little quality thinking time about what are just think about the people that are your good clients that are consistent. Like what characteristics do they have other than Yeah, I mean, like, okay, so are they all doing the same type of business model? Are they all, is it like a certain type of personality that you're directly in contact with? Like, I think there's probably, there's a lot of vagaries that you're not going to have access to, like their budget behind the scenes, changes in their business. I think like that stuff's going to have a big influence on people rotating in and out, and like whether they have a good marketing team that can actually measure their ROI, or whether they're just guessing and like just pushing buttons like Curious George in the spaceship, like hoping that they are going to get something that works. So if you I would try to identify what it is about the good clients. Are there any commonalities that you have?
Right.
Like they might all be a certain size.
That's possible.
Like look them up on LinkedIn. Are they all like 1,000 employees plus? What I found was that the little people, like basically anybody under 100 employees, is like they're just going to buy a one-off thing and then they're going to be gone because they don't really have the budget. They're the monkeys pushing buttons.
Yeah.
Usually.
That makes sense.
So, but yeah, I mean, if you can identify, some common traits, then you might be able to screen for that or proactively cultivate relationships with companies that would be more likely to be in that category versus the other. But I don't think it's just going to be the nature of your business. I mean, it's like for me with the subscriptions, there's going to be probably 5 or 10% of people are going to just stick with it as long as I do it. And then probably 60% of them will only last a month or two. And there's just going to be that churn.
Yeah.
No, that makes sense. Yeah. The other thing that I'm struggling with is, I'm just trying to, I want to try a few things that are a little bit different, but I don't necessarily want to, I don't want to negatively impact the business much if I, as I'm trying new things. So I've had a few people that they're asking me for like a list of shows and prices and stuff. And I'm thinking I just need to put together an updated page with that information on it. But,
are you worried that will
no, that
people
would
to
help.
shop it? Or?
But what happens is that I don't know. I feel like I either have time for like doing the sales and lead prospecting and stuff, or I have time to work on that. And so I'm thinking I might just take a week and just pull that together and then go back to doing the sales, because I think I'd be more effective if I was able to just go to people and say, here, here's all the information that you're tending to want. So, I can give them listenership numbers and I can give them the, the size of the segment on the mailing list and all that stuff. And that way they know how much reach they're going to get.
Sort of like our media kit that we did.
Yeah. And I had a media kit for a while, but emailing a PDF kind of sucks. And so if I could just say, you know what, hey, here's the sponsorship page. Here are the different things we offer. And, here are all the numbers to back it up.
Mm-hmm. If you're going to do this, write down all the steps to collect the numbers.
Yeah.
I made a mistake with mine where I didn't do that initially. And it took me several days to like come up with all the numbers that I needed.
What do you mean write down all the steps to collect?
Okay, with subscribers, you log into Drip, you click on the subscribers tab, that kind of thing.
Yeah. Well, then I can just hand that off to Michelle or whoever I hire to help me with that.
So you don't have to do it every quarter like I did.
Yep. Yeah. Doing that every quarter is no fun. But yeah, I think that's kind of where I'm going to wind up. And if I have to do it manually for now, and then I can write a script that'll pull it all together later. But yeah, I think there's a certain level of payoff that I need to do there. But the thing is that I feel like I'd lose a little bit of momentum if I didn't just, go find go find the prospects every week. I don't know. The other thing that I'm kind of considering is that since we started the View podcast and the Elixir podcast and the React podcast, I feel like I don't have as much time, and I don't because I'm doing 3 more podcasts every week. And so I'm trying to decide if I want to quit some more shows. But I feel like I have some responsibility to keep the bigger shows going. I don't know.
When you say quit the shows, you mean where you're not on the panel, but the show still goes on?
The show still goes on.
Yeah, I mean, that should be... It makes sense to me that you do that, right? I mean, because you really... Unless you enjoy doing, like, the shows that you enjoy doing, but the ones that you don't, really, it shouldn't require you to be there.
Maybe what you need to have is like a standard procedure where whenever you start a new show, you're going to be involved for 3 months or 6 months or something, and you're training the host. So you're there to train them, and then you have it's more hand-holding initially, and then you're done.
Yeah,
because you're probably pretty close to the limit as far as how many shows you can be in.
Yeah, I am. If I could cut half the shows I'm in, that would take a huge load off of me. So,
well, where is the tipping point there in terms of time spent on the show versus money made from the show overall for you, right? If you could have X number of shows and they produce 10x dollars compared to if you had 20x shows and they still produce 10x dollars. Like I don't know where their balance is, but there's probably somewhere where you have the ideal point beyond which it's too much and you're just not able to run the business. You're just becoming the producer of content.
Yeah, I don't know if I know how to figure out what that.
How much of your time right now is spent producing content?
Probably 20 hours a week, maybe.
Oh wow, yeah. You should. I don't know. I mean, yeah, you should be getting out of these shows for sure.
Yeah.
There's no question. If you're spending that much time, you could be using that time much more effectively in the business. Even if it took a hit. I mean, even if you took a hit on some of the
listenership,
it would still be worth it.
Yeah, it would. Yeah, the more I think about it, the more I'm realizing that. I mean, except for like 1 or 2 of the shows where I really feel invested.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, the more time I can spend on the systems around the business and things like that, I think that the better off long term that I'll be, and I'll see some short term gains on that as well, as I'm able to just nail down some stuff that I've been pushing off because I haven't had time.
And you might initially invest some of the time that you like if you dropped out of 5 shows or 3 shows or something, maybe initially you're investing part of that time in putting systems in place to make sure that the shows don't die, right? Like, so I think you've talked before about doing like some host training materials.
Yeah, I'm looking at doing that. And what I'm thinking is that I may actually just email all of my co-hosts and just say, look, you know what? I'm taking a 2-week sabbatical from recording anything. And I'm just going to work on the processes and everything else. And that way I can kind of figure out where everything's at, make sure that they all know what's going on. And then I can, essentially appoint champions of those shows and make sure that it's all worth it to them to keep them going.
Yeah.
How much time do you think Pat Flynn might be spending on his content creation?
Is this a trick question, Manny, that you know the answer to?
I don't know the answer. I'm curious. Because John just jumped on the idea that 20 hours is too much. So I'm trying to figure out, what do you think?
Well, it's different. It's different because Pat is running a celebrity business.
Yes.
And so his content creation is his bread and butter, whereas Chuck is running a network, a podcasting network, essentially.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Where his main contribution is the organization of it in the
So the core value offering in Pat's case is Pat's, but in Chuck's case, it's not Chuck.
That's right.
Right.
The other thing is that I'm guessing that Pat has some people who do a lot of the
Editing and all.
well, I have somebody that does my editing, but just the content wrangling, right? All the prep, and here's what you need to know, and here's what you need to ask. And
he's more like a news anchor that shows up and they hand him a pile of stuff and he goes through it.
So he has to do some prep. He has to do some prep, but I'm guessing that he has somebody else that does a lot of his research and stuff.
I'm not convinced about that because,
I could be wrong.
We see him almost every month and we talk about all of this shit all the time. And he's never really brought that up as a part of his process. He does the content himself, literally. He is the content guy. Like he does the video, he does the brainstorming behind the videos. Everything is him. Everything else is being done by the team, like editing, production, creating the blog post, all those things. The team is handling it, but he's the guy with the podcast, with the YouTube, with the original blog posts and stuff like that. Yeah, that's an interesting distinction.
Yeah.
But Chuck, I like the idea of the sabbatical. And you could even, a couple of ways you could do this would be, one would be to rotate in and out. Like, just say, I'm only going to do 10 hours a week going forward of content. And then you stagger that. Another way would be like every month or every 2 months, you disappear for a week or 2 weeks. But I think starting to disappear like that would be good for the podcast in the long term.
Yeah, I think so too. Well, and I kind of did it last month, because I was, I was just going through stuff and I just didn't want to show up. And
the house didn't burn down.
Yeah, it didn't burn down. When I came back, I was also, I'm just a whole lot less excited about doing so many shows. I think if I was on 1 or 2 shows every week, and then I could pick and choose the episodes or the interviews that I wanted to do, I think I'd enjoy it a lot more.
Yeah,
Does the audience require Chuck to be part of the podcast?
Nope.
Hey, there's the answer.
No, most of them do not.
Yeah, I remember with Ruby Rogues, like, I definitely like Chuck, but it was about the whole show and the topics and everything. So
yeah, just choose the ones you want to be on, and that's it.
Yeah, because the highest leverage activity is on the business, not in the business.
Yep, and that's the thing that I'm getting to at this point, is that I'm pretty sure I can make it grow, and I can make it grow quickly. I just need to get out of the weeds.
Yep.
All right, cool. Well, thanks for helping me clarify my thinking on that. That was the main thrust of what I was after. Is, I feel like I've got all this stuff that I'm juggling, and a lot of it feels like it's just a hamster wheel.
Yeah,
it is a hamster wheel.
Always.
Yeah.
Ask John about it.
I finally figured out my shit though. I think. Let me see if I can.
All right.
You guys see that over there? Oh, it's probably backwards too. So yeah.
John is now a pyramid. He's drawing pyramids, so we're in trouble.
I'm just gonna join the Illuminati. So that's it. I'm making a conspiracy theory YouTube channel. That will do well. So,
there you go.
That will do really well until you get banned by YouTube.
Right, until I get banned.
I thought you were a Trump supporter, so it was slave labor that you were after.
Yeah. I messed up my camera. But no, I think I'm gonna go with the Bulldog Mind Set.
Did you find the domain?
I got the domain. I own the domain now.
Oh, nice. Okay.
And then the three, like the triangle, the triune, the Bulldog Mindset is in the middle. And then, 3 points of the triangle are fitness, wealth, and relationships, right? So it's all like that and the Bulldog Mindset is the thing that drives all of those things, right? And so then I'll be able to talk on each one of those points and build content based on that. So that's where I'm going right now. And so everything kind of fits into that. Like everything either fits into one of those 3 categories, or or the encompassing fourth category, which is the mindset, right? Everything that like Stoic philosophy, the philosophy stuff, book reviews, all that kind of stuff fits into the middle of just the mindset, discipline, mental toughness, all that, productivity. So that's what I'm looking at now.
Nice.
All right.
I like it.
Thoughts for the week? That's the camera off.
I'm gonna puke. Fortunately, Google is helpfully focusing John's camera while he's doing that, and we're all. I've got a huge screen here, and I just see this. Oh.
So I have a thought. So one thing that I've been dealing with a bit, and I think I talked about this last week too, is just I've been dealing with a little bit of depression. It's not serious. I'm not worried about hurting myself, and I'm not thinking that, this is never going to end. But like yesterday, I had no energy. I really didn't want to do anything. I wasn't super happy. I couldn't think of anything that I wanted to do that would make me happy. And anyway, what I wound up doing, and you can kind of see some of the fruits of it behind me, is that I really started to reorganize my office. And, I moved my desk over. I think I had moved it over a few weeks ago, but like the shelf behind me is new, and I kind of cleaned up a bunch of stuff, reorganized the closet. I've got things set up so that I can get into a routine, and just making some forward motion really helped. And so I just want to encourage people, if you're feeling discouraged, sometimes you just need to go find some quiet space. And I did that some too. And sometimes you need to go find some way to just move forward. And it wasn't the things that were like the most pressing or that were going to have the highest impact, right? Because honestly, if I was in it for impact, I would have been doing sponsorship outreach or working on these systems or things like that, right? But I wasn't in a place where I could do that, so I just did something else that moved me forward, and that made a huge difference. So I guess that's my thought, is just, if you're feeling like you don't have the time or energy or whatever to do something, just find something that moves you forward, or just go find some quiet space where you can kind of recuperate.
Let's see. Mine is somewhat similar. I've been feeling depressed lately. It's funny. It's the same thing. I'm also not going to kill myself, but for a different reason, or hurt myself, is because if I'm dead, I can't eat. And eating brings me joy. So it seems like a really bad solution. I was like, I think if I ever get like suicidal, I'll just become really fat, because that would be fun.
What kind of donuts did you get?
Actually, I didn't. So my solution, well, I'm feeling actually pretty good today. And I think why I was talking to Manny about this is like I rebuilt the discipline and got some momentum going. So like I did a full fast yesterday. Like I haven't eaten. I'll eat tonight, but I fasted all day yesterday, and I did my kickboxing, ran 5 miles. I've been on track. Because I gained some weight, and that I think, like, I don't know, for me, like I get really depressed when I get self-judgmental, when I'm not living up to my own standards. That's the biggest thing for me. And when you get in that spiral, it's very much a downward spiral, right? Because it's like, you feel like shit, so you do shitty things. Like you don't feel motivated, so you don't. So every time my way to break out of it is always to get that momentum back. So I don't know. So that, I guess that's kind of thing. I always forget that. It's like, get the momentum back, like get the discipline back. And I think it might be different for different people, but for my standard, I have a standard of what discipline level, what I need to be doing in order to feel good about myself, which is internal. It doesn't have to do with anyone else. It just has to do with my standard, right? And so if I'm not meeting that standard, I'm not going to be happy no matter what, right? And like my standard is like kind of ridiculous, and it's extreme and crazy, and I thought I need to take breaks from stuff, and to some degree a change up in taking breaks is good, but at the same time I have to, like, whatever I'm doing, I have to maintain a very, very high level of discipline, or I fall into that depression mode. And so that's what I think happened to me a lot, was just falling off the wagon on diet and nutrition and whatnot. It just made me feel like not a good person. So,
I'm gonna carry on with the two thoughts because I feel like it's almost aligned with what you guys are saying. One of the biggest realizations I had was understanding that it is okay to feel bad, that it is okay to go through a slump, that it is okay to have a tough time in life. It is part of life. Nobody said my life is going to be easy. Nobody said my life is going to be all fun and glory all the time. And that abstraction, actually, I learned as a result of meditation, where like I can step back from the experience and see the meta level of life and say, hey, it's okay. This shit is happening. And as soon as I allowed myself to feel that, hey, shit is bad, it paradoxically, it's like the most joyous thing you can do to yourself, because you get the meta level perspective and you see shit is going, but you say, hey, that's part of life. That's okay. That's quite okay. And you can, now you have a new lease at life, because now you accept the fact that life will be tough at times. With acceptance comes tremendous relief, joy, and ability to improve. But with struggle, with fight, it's a constant fucking fight till you, till you die. You're like, oh, I shouldn't be feeling bad. But accept that you're feeling bad, and it's so much better to deal with it.
Yep.
Yeah, that's very true.
It's paradoxical.
Yeah. I want to piggyback off something John mentioned, which was the momentum thing. I was thinking about a couple of days ago. I was like, you know what? Really, the last good thing that I feel like really happened for me with Simple Programmer was the book launch. It's been this slow downward slide in like ever since then. And just like, I'm like, I just need to get back to winning. I need to get back to feeling like, like I'm able to win. And that's actually why I've been, one reason why I'm pacing myself a little bit on this rollout of this. Cause like, yes, you can like, if I know that if I just blasted the whole list and like did a big launch on this, I'd make more money. But then what would happen probably is for the next year, I would watch that slow decay as people are dropping off, and I'm trying to figure out how to sell it, and I'm losing momentum for the next year again. And I really don't want to do that. And that's kind of why for me, this has been very helpful, like to build up my confidence again by doing this in stages. Versus just going all out like that. And for me, like the momentum thing is huge. If I don't feel like I've got when you have positive momentum, it's like you're unstoppable, and it's amazing how fragile that is.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, momentum is one of those things. It makes you look better than you are, and when you don't have momentum, it makes you look worse than you are. So it cuts both ways. When you have momentum, you look like the king of the world.
Yeah.
All right. Chuck left. So.
All right, guys.
All righty.
We'll see you next week. I'll be in Hawaii next week, but I should.
Ooh, fun.
Yeah.
How long are you gonna be there?
In the middle of volcanoes.
In a volcano. Yes.
Nice. Oh.
It's a big island.
Nice.
Last time I was in Hawaii, there was a hurricane. So.
All right. See you guys next week.
Yeah.
Wanna start a business, but you just know how to code. Listen to John, Josh, and Derek.